Today we're going to tie a simple panfish popper with some deer hair and some craft fur. This is a very basic deer hair fly. It's a good pattern if you're just getting into deer hair. So what we're going to do is we will start with just some thread wraps covering our hook until the end there, and then we will want to build up some thread here to give our deer hair something to stop against. And when you tie with deer hair, you do want to cover the entirety of the hook shank. At least that is what I was taught. Some people do not adhere to that. Next we're going to do our tail. Our tail is this barred craft fur. Craft fur is very supple, soft, and this should make a good tail. But you could use marabou, you could use a whole lot of different material. So I pick out some of the craft fur. It's got some multicolors here. I'll take some of the white and some of the brown, and then with your scissors, just cut that out, and then you want to take out the under hair. This fluffy stuff is not very good, and then we're left with some very uneven ends. So you can just take them and reposition so your ends are a little bit more even. Do that one more time. Alright, that looks pretty good. And then we will trim that up. You don't want your tail to be that so crazy long. Okay, for the tail, I'm going to reverse tie it in. So I'm going to take the butt ends, I'm going to place them on the back here, and I'm going to put one loose wrap, two loose wraps, and then I'm going to position them. That looks good. And then work them around the hook. So on the sides, kind of press it down so it's worked around the hook. And then, oops, sorry, we're going to want to tighten that down nice and tight. Alright, so that looks pretty good. And then you want to work it back. And then we're going to tie it down one more time. Nice and tight. Okay. And yeah, that looks nice. Alright, so we got a nice little tail on there. It's flared nicely, good shape. You could do a drop of super glue, which I will do. I think you got to be careful not to get it too only on the thread. I want it only on the thread, just covering the thread, not necessarily the fibers of the tail. That looks good. Okay. Now for the deer hair portion. So the deer hair strategy is going to be to flare the deer hair. You could stack it if you wanted to do different colors, color combination. You would stack the deer hair, clump on top, clump on bottom. But today we're gonna spin the deer hair. So one clump, and it's going to work all the way around. So we get this is the hair we're dealing with. I think this is actually bleached elk hair. Could be wrong. Oh, I have a package actually. Yeah, elk. Select cow elk. So we take a pretty good clump. Like so. And for this, the first clump, we're going to stack it. Look for my stacker. Well, here's my stacker. And I want the tips to be even on the first clump. So for the first clump, we will stack. Stack, 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 stack. And take it out. And you can see all those tips are really nice. Take it out. And for this one, again, just for style points, I'm going to want to flare the ends so the tips are all around the end of the hook. And this is just purely because it looks cool. You could not do this and the fly would fish just fine. So we're going to place our clump. We'll put one loose and then one a little more tight, and then slowly start to cinch it down, and then we'll spin it around. That was a good spin. And we'll continue spinning it around. 1, 2, 3. That should be good. And there's a lot of junk here. And with this hair, you want to push it back. And then you're going to want to work your thread through. Push your hair back. Be careful not to stab yourself with the point of the hook. That is not good. Yep, and that's our first clump. And after we do a couple more clumps, we want to pack the hair, and this will give you a little bit more even body. So we'll do another clump. This clump doesn't have to be quite as juicy as the last clump. We can cut out a clump like this, about this size, and then pick out the guard hair, or the underfur rather, and position nice and close. Doesn't have to be even. One loose, and then one tight, and slowly tighten it up, and then your hair spins, and nice and uniform. You do want to put decent amount of pressure, and then you will snap your thread. It does happen. It happens to everybody, but that's just the nature of the business, because you have to apply the pressure. Okay, so work your hair back, work your thread through, and then push it back. On a bigger fly, you might want to use an actual packer tool, but for this small one, we don't need to use a packer. We'll take another clump. And then we'll pick out the furry bits. Pick out the furry bits, place it down, one loose, and then start to tighten and spin. And give it good pressure. Pressure. Work it through. Try not to trap too many hairs. Work it through, and then hold the shank of the bend of the hook, and then with your hand you really just want to push it back, and this will give you a nice tight body, that fitness body, tight. And see how much space we got? Enough space for another clump, small clump. We'll do another small clump. Alright, that's good. And we will get our this will probably be the last one. And pick it out. Pick it out. Put it down. One loose. And slowly tighten. And one tight. And spin. Deer hair. Working with deer hair is one of the most satisfying parts of fly tie. And push, get that good hook out. Yeah, there, that's good. And spin, pressure. And move it forward. Alright, and at this point we're going to tie it off. So get that deer hair back. Get it back. Tie it off. And those stragglers, that's fine. So you could do your half hitch here, or you could do a whip finish. We will whip finish today, but half hitch would be okay too. And we will whip finish. That looks good. Oop, our thread snapped. That's fine. That'll be okay. I'm not worried. Alright, so here is our fluff ball. Doesn't look like much, but we have to shape it. Shape it into something. I always, to trim it, I always take it out of the vise. But yeah, I guess, I don't know anyone who trims it in the vise. Maybe people do. I guess we could try to trim it in the vise today. We could do that. So we want to be cognizant of the hairs we put in the back here, because we want to keep those. And then I always trim out. We're not going to trim it in the vise. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. We're going to trim it on the camera here. We'll move the camera. I always trim out the bottom first, and you want to trim the bottom well, because you're going to need to hook the fish, so you want that hook bend exposed. So we'll take your razor and find your hook. Obviously be careful, and then you're going to want to work it back. If you have a sharp enough razor, you should just be able to slide it back carefully, nice and carefully. Slide it on back. And slide it on back. That's fine. Alright, so that is a good bottom cut there. And there's enough space so the fish can get hooked. Looks a little bit crooked. We'll work it a tad bit more. Yeah, that looks good. And for the top, you could bend this razor and go for a nice cylinder shape, but I don't. It takes a lot of time. You've bent a lot of razors, and I don't have access to the fancy sharp razors. I buy these at the hardware store. They do the trick, but so I'm not going to go with the bend, but I'm going to start in the back, and then I'm going to work my way up, and I want to work it at an angle, and I could move it just slowly along there, and it'll cut nicely. It'll cut nicely, and I want that angle because it'll help the face of the popper. Alright, so now we have, doesn't look like much. You can hit your sides, and again you want to work an angle, and this is just for the shape. We're going to come back and hit it with the scissors, and then work your angle. Oops. Don't cut yourself. Work your angle. Work your angle. Yeah. That looks nice. So now we get the rough shape of it. And this is going to be a good face. And we don't want to cut any more of that. But it is looking a bit thick right there. So we can get a little bit closer and cut that down. Cut it down, and work this side, cut it down. That's fine. That's fine. Alright, now we get the scissors, and you could skip the razor part and only do the scissors, which I have done. And it turns out just fine. The razor bit is, I guess, for the cool kids. And then you're gonna want to shape, and I want a nice round face here, so I can start here and work the face of my popper. And work it. Don't worry about those stragglers. We'll get those guys at the end. Starting to come along. It definitely needs some more trimming. Give it a haircut. 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 Alright. Haircut. These corners, let's knock those down a bit. Knock these corners down a bit. Work these edges. Work these edges. Okay, I think that will do it. Alright, so I've pressed this tail down a lot, so it doesn't look so pretty anymore. But these back stragglers you can just pick out. These uglies. Pick out those uglies. And then you do have those nice pointy tips in the back, making it look good. And then our body is looking good, and our tail is looking good. Everything is looking good here. And the face is coming along. Maybe we'll trim that down a little bit more. Not bad. Hit it one time again with our razor here, working back to front, just for the sake of symmetry. For the sake of this is a small one. For the sake of symmetry. That's a nice shape. And then under, let's just take one last look. Nice close shave. Alright. And our razor happiness is finished. I think some people can get carried away with trimming. Okay, so let's put her back on the vise, and then we will and we can glue her up. Okay. We do want to make sure that hook eye is exposed, but we don't want to cut our thread. And I'm just doing this because it's fun. It doesn't need it. All right. So we got a good shape, and this will fish just fine. And the next thing, so how the hair is pointing forward, it creates a nice kind of scooped out hood, and that'll give you a good gurgle. But the concern then is the durability of the fly. This under part will always go first, and so we will take a little bit of glue, and that will help keep our guy durable. Ooh, that was probably too much. And we'll take our toothpick and we'll move it around here. Move it around. Move it around. Nice coat. Yeah, that's enough. And then we will hit it with the light. Hit it with the light. Yeah, that looks fine. And we will probably hit that again. So that underbelly is protected, and now what's left is then to solidify our scoop, our hood scoop. And so we will add some glue to that, and how we will do that, we have to be pretty careful. You don't want to add too much. So we'll actually add it back to the belly, and we will transfer it from the belly to the head. We'll just scoop it right off, then just roll it on the head. Maybe we'll do 2 coats of this, but we want it to be stiff. We want this guy to last for more than one fishing trip. Alright. And before we hit it with our light, we want to get a nice shape. Let's hit it. Let's hit it. Let's hit it. And then we will do one more time. One more time. Put down the glue. Scoop it off. And then place it. And it's still pliable, which is fine. That's what you want. But it is much more durable, and it will pop well for you. Pop, pop. Pop, pop. Alright. I'm going to hit that. Hit that with our light. Hit the underbelly. And we're done. And this is just a bluegill fly, or small bass, baby bass, creek bass, small popper. You could do this in a variety of colors. I just tend to do it light because it could be an insect, or it could be a small fish struggling at the surface. Alright, I think that is it. Oops. There she blows, and it's much stiffer now. You could even do a third coat, and that might help it out. But that certainly will do the trick. And that is a great first deer hair popper, elk hair, deer hair, hairy popper. Okay, thank you for watching. I'll try to come up with something better next time. Look at this tank. Woo! Oh my God. Look at that. That is a beast.